Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, in that order. Welcome everyone. I'm going to run through 10 cards from my PC in this video here. And like last time, I picked 10 cards that I thought had some sort of interesting story behind them, either personal stories for me or I thought the story of the card itself was particularly interesting. There's a very wide range of values here, but in a way that's sort of the point. But again, these are all cards that are in my long-term personal collection. All right, we'll start with the only Mookie Betts card in my personal collection. This is one of my better ever long-term holds. I got this in a deal I bought before Betts was won his MVP, whenever that was, 2018 or so. A couple, the year before that, I think. And he was a star, but he wasn't sort of considered one of the the best players in the game or anything like that. But I remember looking up his numbers and just being like, man, his WAR is incredible. I'm a big fan of the stat WAR. I think it does a really good job sort of summarizing a player in one stat. This card's numbered out of 99, as you can see. I just kept this card, which is sort of something I wouldn't normally do. I don't generally keep younger players, but I decided to keep this one, and it was probably worth a few $100s at the time. And now it's a 5-figure card. It's his first Bowman Chrome card from 2014. Bowman Chrome, obviously a black refractor autograph, and a nice grade, obviously, BGS 9.5 with the 10 auto, and like I showed you just a second ago, it's numbered out of 99. One of his more premier cards in the hobby. I mentioned in the last video, I'm a big fan of pre-war vintage, especially just Hall of Famers. Just not a lot of this stuff out there. This is a 1909 E91 American Caramel Frank Chance. Frank Chance is a Hall of Famer of a famous Tinkers to Evers to Chance Chicago Cubs infield. American Caramel was a candy company that obviously produced cards. And this one, like the Betts, I also got this in a large collection. It was already graded like the Betts when I bought the collection. And I remember looking up the pop report on this and just thinking that was so cool how rare it was. It's actually been graded a few more times since I got it. It's currently been graded 26 times in any grade ever by PSA. And this one here is a PSA 3. In that grade, it's a pop 3, and there's only 8 higher. So it gives you a sense for how rare some of these, 100-plus-year-old vintage Hall of Fame cards are. I just love this stuff. It's just such a piece of, history, and not a lot of them out there. Here's another one I got in a large collection. It's a 1979 Topps Wayne Gretzky rookie, basically the most iconic hockey card there is. I mean, I guess you could call the OPG more in demand, but this was just sitting raw in a large bulk junk wax era collection that I bought. It wasn't graded, it wasn't sleeved or anything. It was just sitting there raw. When I came across it, I was like, well, this has to be a fake, because this card's very, very commonly faked, and the fakes are very, very hard to detect. But I looked it over and over, and it seemed good, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just send this to PSA. Worst case scenario, I'm out the grading fees, and sent it to PSA, and it came back a 5, which, yeah, I mean, that seems about right. It's a little off center and has some nicks at the corner, but yeah, solid mid-grade card, and certainly kind of got lucky on this one. I don't have a lot of hockey cards in my collection, but this one obviously I'm going to keep, as I'm in it for nothing, and yeah, like I said, kind of got lucky on that one. So I mentioned before that Cal Ripken was my favorite player growing up, and I actually met him one time. It was in the early 90s. I don't know which year, but I was probably 11 or 12 or something like that. And he used to go to the Oriole games, 4 or 5 times a year maybe. And he was just at one of the games signing autographs after the game, which is something he used to do. He was a very generous signer, very loved to interact with the fans. And I stood in line and waited with my dad for however long, and eventually got to the front of the line, and he signed this card here for me, Cal Ripken Jr. I don't even remember the interaction. I don't remember what I said, or if he said. I don't remember. I think I was just too starstruck. I don't even think I said thank you. Maybe, who knows? But he signed this for me. It's a 1983 Topps second year Ripken. I mean, never bothered to get it graded. Why would I? I know it's authentic. I witnessed in person him signing it, so I know it's good. I don't need someone else to tell me it's authentic. And yeah, I mean, this card wouldn't sell for very much, but that's totally not the point. It's a memory that I will never part with. So my favorite basketball player ever is Reggie Miller. Sort of random. I wasn't really into basketball growing up. I was much more into baseball and football. But like a lot of people, I got into basketball in the 1990s when Michael Jordan sort of came in and started running the show. But Reggie Miller was my favorite player. Sort of random. Washington didn't have a very interesting team, and I really liked Miller. He was I sort of, imagined my game would have been like him, sort of tall, gangly, skinny guy who just out hustled everybody and could shoot the three. And Reggie Miller was an absolute clutch player. He's one of his most famous games was the 8 points in 18 seconds game against New York. I'm going to show a bit of it right here.
Houston and Utah tied it too early. We'll be going there at the conclusion of this game. A game that's seen nearly 60 fouls called. Actually, that is short of the record for both teams in a playoff game. Miller for three, and he got it. Reggie Miller with a clutch tray, and it's 105-102. And a steal. Miller retreats to the three-point line and hits again. Tie game.
Reggie added 2 free throws to take the Pacers from down 6 to win the game by 2 in the last 18 seconds. Pretty cool. But Reggie retired as the all-time record holder in three-pointers. His numbers are sort of dwarfed by today's guys, Steph Curry and others. But he was really a revolutionary three-point shooter at the time. This card's his 1997 Skybox Premium Autographics. This is a tough card. It's his first autograph card. It's really one of the first autograph sets in basketball and in any of the sports. Just sort of wasn't a common concept in the 1990s. This card's really rare. There just were not a lot of these sets produced. This one's a PSA 9 with a 7 auto. There's only been 5 of these ever graded by PSA to give you a sense for just how tough they are to get nowadays. Here's a card in my PC purely for the photo. It's a 2015 Topps Chrome Refractor Odell Beckham Jr. Beckham, I'm not a Beckham fan. I mean, I'm a Washington fan, so I'm sort of an anti-Odell Beckham fan, but it's a PSA 10. And the photo of this catch, if you haven't seen it, is got to be the most impressive catch I've ever seen. If you're not considering, game context. There's more important ones, Dwight Clark and David Tyree and Lynn Swann. But this catch, just purely from a difficult standpoint, has to be the most impressive catch I've ever seen. I'll actually show it right here.
I don't think he stepped out either. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Number 39. Penalties decline. Result of the play. Touchdown.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
So that's it for this card. I just really like that the image on the card really captured that impressive moment. Here's a card that comes with sort of a good story. It's a 1955 Topps Sandy Koufax rookie. I think I've mentioned before, the cornerstone of my collection is Hall of Fame vintage baseball rookie cards, and I try to get one of each guy, and this is my Koufax. You can see it's a PSA 7. I actually got this card raw in a large vintage collection, and I was super excited when I saw it. I mean, the card is just blisteringly sharp, packed fresh. I was excited to send a PSA, see what I was going to get, 7, 8, I mean, maybe even higher, who knows. But so I send it into PSA, and it comes back a PSA 2. And I say, PSA 2, you got to be kidding me. So I scan the card over and over. I mean, I'm looking for any little surface wrinkle. I just don't see anything. But then along this left edge here, I don't even know if you can see it, there is the lightest of light discolorations right along the border. And I mean, I guess that's what the grader saw. Must have thought it was some sort of tape or residue, or I don't even know. Like I said, you can barely see it. You wouldn't see it unless you were really, really looking for it. So I assume that's why they graded this a PSA 2. But again, I was thinking this card was going to grade a 7, 8, maybe higher. So not happy at all with the 2. Of course, I cracked it out of the case and resubmitted it to PSA without saying anything more, and this time it came back as 7, much better. I still feel like it should be better than a 7. I mean, look at this card; it just looks like it's absolutely packed fresh. But I will definitely take the 7, given that it was previously a PSA good 2. I don't remember when I got this card, but it was a long time ago. I've had this card a long time. 2003 Fleer Fall Classic Postseason Glory Quad Bat Relic card. You got 4 guys on here, and they're game-used bat relics, and not just any 4 guys. You can see the card serial numbered out of 25, but not just any 4 random guys. All 4 of these guys are Hall of Famers, and all 4 of them are in the 500 home run club. You got Eddie Matthews and Frank Robinson there on the back, and on the front a couple of Yankee all-time greats, Reggie Jackson and Babe Ruth. Like I said, all of them are in the 500 home run club. I think there's probably 20 or 25 guys in the 500 home run club membership now, but this card here's got 4 of them, and again, all-time greats, obviously. Babe Ruth being the biggest of the 4, but But a very cool card. I don't know why. I just kept this one, never graded it. It wouldn't grade very high. It's got some corner dings, but I like this one and the history behind it. So I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the World Cup and Team USA, and both the men and the women. And if you're a fan of the U.S. Women's National Team, this card here is one of the holy grail cards that there is. It's a 2012 Panini Americana dual autograph of Carly Lloyd and Megan Rapino. These are two of the all-time great U.S. Women's National Team's players. And not just that, so the U.S. Women's National Team won the World Cup in 2015 and 2019, won it back-to-back. Carly Lloyd was the player of the tournament in 2015, and Megan Rapino was the player of the tournament in 2019. So this is the back-to-back World Cup, MVPs. It's not called MVP, but back-to-back World Cup player of the tournaments. And on top of that, it's both of their rookie year cards. 2012, this is the first year of cards for both Carly Lloyd and Megan Rapino. And then on top of that, it's serial number to just 49. Pretty rare card, not something you can find nowadays. If you do a quick eBay search, none of these will show up on eBay, most likely. Maybe there'll be one. But on top of that, it's a PSA Gem Mint 10. And on top of that, it's just a PSA Pop 2 in this grade, meaning one of only 2 copies to be graded a 10. Beckett and SGC have never graded one that high, so it's one of the 2 nicest copies of the card that exist as of today. Just sort of a holy grail item for U.S. Women's National Team collectors. So my favorite football player of all time was Barry Sanders. Probably my second would be Darrell Green. If you're not familiar with Darrell Green, he was Hall of Fame cornerback for Washington in the 80s and the 90s, and he won 2 or 3 Super Bowls with them. And this is his rookie to PSA Gem Mint 10 1984 tops. I don't know where he would rank in sort of the all-time greatest cornerbacks list. I would like to think top 5 maybe. That might be a reach, but I'm going to say top 5 because I want to. But the reason I wanted to talk about Darrell Green is when I was a kid, maybe 8 or so, the Washington was in the Super Bowl, and I didn't really know anything about football. And somebody had told me that Darrell Green was the best player on Washington. And I watched the Super Bowl, and they never mentioned his name. And I turned to the guy and I said, "Well, Darrell Green can't be that good. I mean, they just played the whole game, and they never said his name once. He never had the ball. He never scored a touchdown." And the guy said to me, "Well, yeah, that's because he plays cornerback. He's so good that the other team doesn't even bother to throw to the wide receiver he's guarding. It's just not even worth trying. So that you'll never hear his name, and that's a sign of why he's so good." And that didn't make sense to me as an 8-year-old at the time. It makes a lot more sense now. But yeah, sort of a funny little tidbit. But yeah, it sort of gives you a sense for how good Darrell Green was. So that's it. Just 10 more cards from my personal collection and the stories behind them. Let me know what you guys thought. Any cards here you like the most? Or I really enjoyed the comments you guys left in the last 10 cards from my PC video. Is a lot of interesting tidbits and some nice stories of your own. So I appreciate that as always. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you again real soon. Thanks, guys.